Hello, I'm an Spanish native who has been learning English for more than 3 years, Japanese for 12 months, and I'm a calisthenics athlete. And these three reasons are why I want to introduce discipline to language learning. Theoretical knowledge does not help in your speaking when learning a language, and this is probably the reason why you haven't gotten as much results as you would want. So I'm just going to be explaining when it is useful and when it is not, and how to really improve at your speaking. You can imagine that when you try to speak, there are some barriers when you do it in something that is not your native language. So if you're learning Japanese and you go to speak with a native, probably having theoretical knowledge will not help you. Because when you talk to someone, you don't think about grammatical rules, what vocabulary you need to use for certain situations, like it just comes up, right? So to make this more understandable, there was a study in which two groups of people were presented to talk with natives of the language they were learning, of course. They had literally the same knowledge, these two groups, so the first came to talk with the natives and they weren't able to maintain a conversation. They were able only to just answer questions very shortly. The words they needed in order to make the conversation fluent didn't come up into mind, and they were really paranoid about not understanding some words, so it just didn't work. Now when the second group comes, they were actually able to maintain a conversation without any problems, because they weren't trying to find the perfect words to fit in X type of a scenario. Even if they didn't understand a word, it's not like just not understanding one word will make you not understand an entire conversation. You could literally ask what that word means as well. So overall, they were persons who weren't afraid of making mistakes, which is a character trait that honestly for most of the people is actually difficult to have. But you can clearly see here that learning more words, learning more grammar is not going to be of help if what you want to do is speak. You need to develop your character trait. Learning theoretical knowledge, which is mostly grammar and language learning, will be probably the best way of starting to learn a language. Even better if you are one of those persons who have higher aptitude, which is defined as rate of learning in the book Second Language Learning and Second Language Acquisition by Stephen Krashen. So if you're one of those persons who likes to study a lot, you will probably have very good short-term results with a well-taught course. And if you can combine this with immersion learning, which you have to go through inevitably if you want to learn most of the aspects of the language and really acquire them, you will have the best of both worlds, which is the short-term results of having a higher aptitude and the long-term results of doing lots of immersion in your language learning. Honestly, there's no way around it. The best way to learn how to speak is to speak. Yeah, how surprising, right? And no, you don't need to have a partner to learn how to speak, because I didn't have a partner to learn how to speak in English, and you can see that at least you can understand what I'm saying. So what you need to have is some balls and a clear goal with your Japanese. So I found that mentally, learning how to speak is probably the most difficult phase of learning a language, not because of the skill required, but because there's a lot of people that realize that when they get to understand Japanese or whatever language, they actually don't need to learn how to speak and they end up not doing it. So what will get you to not be complacent in this phase is being clear about why you need to learn how to speak. For me, I had to learn how to speak in English in order to teach my lessons in language learning at this channel. For you, maybe it's a scholarship or it is the last requirement that you need to get the work that you want. Once you have this goal clear, believe me, learning how to speak will not be a problem. You will end up doing it, because you probably already know the methods of learning how to speak: reading aloud a lot, recording yourself and correcting your speech, doing shadowing to improve accent and pronunciation. All of these things work. The problem is that you haven't been doing them consistently enough. Thank you for paying me your attention, and I would like a lot that you give me a like and subscribe to my channel, because these videos are actually very difficult to make.